All right, let's just get right into it because this is huge. An announcement just dropped that has sent an absolute shockwave through the gaming world. And no, this isn't just another sequel. For millions of us, this might just be the most important indie game news we've had in years. So let's dive into why the return of Slay the Spire changes, well, everything.
I mean, this quote just nails it, right? This is really the heart of the matter. The original Slay the Spire wasn't just some popular game you played for a bit. It was a foundational piece of art. It literally created an entire genre from scratch, setting a bar so high that countless games have been chasing it ever since. And now, the original masters are coming back to reclaim their throne. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the legend itself re-emerging from the shadows. Then, we gotta break down the core pillars that made the original such a masterpiece. After that, we're gonna get into the absolute game changer, the co-op mode. Then the behind-the-scenes story of their tech, and finally, what it all means for the king to finally reclaim its crown.
Okay, let's kick this off. You know, in a world filled with billion-dollar photorealistic blockbuster games, you might be asking yourself, why is everyone losing their minds over a 2D card game? Well, for a massive, dedicated community of strategy nerds and PC gamers, this is it. This is the single most important event on the entire gaming calendar. And there it is, March 5th, 2026. Go ahead, circle it, highlight it, do what you gotta do. And let's be perfectly clear, this is not just Slay the Spire with a fresh coat of paint. The developer, Megacrit, is delivering a total reimagining. We are talking brand new classes, a truly revolutionary cooperative mode. Oh, and they also rebuilt the entire game on a completely new engine from the ground up. Yeah, this is the real deal.
So, to really understand why this sequel is making such massive waves, we have to rewind a bit. We need to appreciate the absolute masterclass in game design that the original Slay the Spire was. It wasn't just fun, you know? It was a perfectly tuned, strategic machine. The first game literally pioneered and then perfected this entire genre, the roguelike deck builder. If you're new to it, just think of a super punishing yet endlessly replayable card game. Every single run is different, and any decision you make could be your last. Megacrit didn't just make a game in this genre, they pretty much built the whole house. So what made it so ridiculously addictive? Well, it really boils down to these three unshakable pillars. First, that constant, delicious tension of risk versus reward. You're always asking, do I take that super dangerous path with the tough elite fights for a shot at a game-winning relic, or do I play it safe? Second, it taught you a brilliant lesson in resource management. See, unlike most card games, you learn that sometimes the best move is to not take a new card, keeping your deck lean and mean. And third, and this right here is the absolute genius part, the AI is predictable. The game tells you exactly what the enemy is going to do next turn. So when you lose, it's never because of bad luck. It's because your strategy just wasn't good enough. It's a brutal but perfectly fair teacher. And you can't deny the sheer scope of its influence. I mean, look at this list. Amazing games like Monster Train, the unbelievably creative Inscription, and the recent viral hit Balatro, they all stand on the shoulders of Slay the Spire. For years, Megacrit has watched other developers build incredible things on the foundation they laid. And now, the monarch is finally returning to the castle. Okay, now for what is arguably the biggest bombshell of the entire announcement. A cooperative multiplayer mode. Think about it. Strategic card games are almost always these lonely, intense, chess-like experiences. Megacrit is taking that solitary climb up the spire and turning it into a wild team adventure. So how does this even work? Well, it's not just two people playing the same game next to each other. On the map, you can actually split up. One player can hit a shop to buy some upgrades while the other tackles a tough fight for a reward that benefits the whole team. You can share resources like potions, and here's where it gets really tactical. One player can slap a vulnerable debuff on an enemy, which sets up their partner to come in and deal absolutely massive damage. It completely transforms a solo puzzle into a deep, team-based RPG. And the possibilities here, oh my gosh, they are just mind-blowing. Just imagine the classic Ironclad character acting as a giant defensive wall, soaking up all the damage, while the silent character just safely stacks at poison on the enemies. Or the Defect generating tons of energy for the new NECROBINDER class to unleash chaos. But let's look at that last one, which is just labeled Revolutionary. The Silent is all about discarding cards. Now, you team that up with a new NECROBINDER who can literally use cards from the graveyard as a resource? That's not just a combo. That is potentially game-breaking infinite loop territory right there. Now, for a super important behind-the-scenes story that honestly has huge implications for the entire games industry. The developers made the incredibly bold and expensive decision to completely switch game engines. And this wasn't just a technical choice, it was a statement of principle. So here's the context you need. In late 2023, the company behind Unity, the engine the first game was built on, announced some really unpopular pricing changes. They were even going to start charging developers a fee every time someone installed their game. And this, as you can imagine, sent a wave of absolute fury through the indie developer community, who felt totally betrayed. So what did Megacrit do? In response, they took a stand. They walked away from the corporate dependency and bloat of Unity, and they rebuilt the entire game from scratch in a different engine called Godot. And as you can see, this was an absolute masterstroke. It gives them total independence with a faster, open-source engine that's completely free from any of those restrictive corporate policies. Now, why should you care about all this nerdy engine stuff? Well, here's the crucial part. Godot is famously friendly to modders. The first game had an incredible modding scene that kept it alive for years, and this switch all but guarantees that Slay the Spire 2 will have an even bigger, more creative, and more accessible community, making new content for it. This decision ensures this game will be played for another decade. All right, let's bring it all home. In our final section, let's talk about the brand new content and exactly how Slay the Spire 2 is poised to once again completely dominate the very genre that it created. So let's meet the star of the show, the NECROBINDER. This new class looks absolutely incredible. It's built around using your graveyard, your discard and exhaust piles as a weapon. It can summon minions to the battlefield to block attacks for you, and it uses something called blood magic, where you literally sacrifice your own health for these massive spikes in power. It sounds like the ultimate high-risk, high-reward playstyle, and you just know the hardcore players are going to fall in love with it. Megacrit is also bringing the game back to early access, but their whole philosophy is just completely different from most studios. You know how a lot of companies use it? It's basically a glorified pre-order system, not Megacrit. For them, it is a pure game design tool. See, with millions of possible card combinations, it's impossible to perfectly balance the game in a vacuum. So they use their community, us, as a massive, super intelligent quality assurance team to help them tune the game to mathematical perfection. And from a pure market perspective, adding co-op is just flat-out genius. This chart shows it perfectly. Watching one person stream the game is one thing, but as that bar shoots up, you see the massive boost you get from co-op. Watching two of your favorite streamers team up, argue over strategy, and probably fail in some spectacular fashion, that, my friends, is the magic formula for viral content on platforms like Twitch and YouTube. So why do people sink over 1,000 hours into a game like this? It's simple psychology. The game is a masterclass in what's called a variable reward loop. After every fight, you never know exactly what cards or relics you're going to be offered, but your brain knows that one of them, just one, might be the perfect piece you need to complete your incredible build. That hunt for the perfect reward creates this powerful, almost insatiable loop that just keeps you clicking new run over and over and over again. So let's just sum it all up. This isn't some quick cash grab. Megacrit waited years so they could implement risky, fundamental, game-changing ideas. Slay the Spire I is shaping up to be a masterclass in systems design, a huge victory for the open source movement, and honestly, an incredible gift to its dedicated community. And all of that leaves us with the big final question. The original Slay the Spire was a game of intense, solitary focus. Is adding a teammate a brilliant innovation that's going to elevate it to some new legendary status? Or is it going to disrupt that perfect chess-like design that made us all fall in love with it in the first place? Well, only time will tell, but one thing is absolutely for sure. The king is back.